So I gave a talk last year called How to Say Fuck No and Still Have Them Love You. And apparently I'm a fucking hypocrite, because this year I'm going to talk about how to say yes. And so we'll go through the therapeutic sort of ramifications of my self-conflict later. But right now, I wanted to start out last year, so I do a lot of talks, and this is actually the first time I've ever done something this positive or optimistic. And so I need to get energized. And so I thought I'd give out some koozies that maybe some of you guys saw the pictures of. So we did a fuck no and a shit yeah beer koozie, because you need that. This is great for parties, arguments. And so we have live ammo up here. I didn't realize that was going to happen. So I was going to throw them, but I don't think that would be the safest thing. So Abby, come up here. Who wants a koozie? And then, actually, no, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. Your fuck no, this side. Your shit yeah, this side. And we'll do alternating, and it's very, very subjective and horribly unfair, but we will pick people that are yelling loud, and we'll give them koozies. And this will take under 2 minutes, so fuck no, shit yeah, you go. Now, that's ridiculous. There's children around. My God. So anyway, I'm Michael Nieling. I'm the creative director of Ocupop. Oh, give her one. I just totally harshed her so hard. That was mean.
I did it to that guy.
Every Friday we do physical challenges at our offices, and it usually involves jumping up something, and I fucking rule at them. So It's nothing. They're usually much higher. Like I said, I gave that talk last year. I'm the creative director of a small agency called Ocupop. We have studios in Milwaukee. I'm out of breath. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Honolulu, Hawaii, San Francisco, and Whistler, BC. So we're very small. You've probably never heard of us, but you've probably seen a lot of the work that we do. We do a lot of work online, a lot of work with a lot of big tech companies, and a lot of high-profile sort of identity work. So that's our background. That's why you should be here and ostensibly think I have something worthwhile to say, I guess. So I wanted to start out by kind of giving my standard disclaimers here. I swear. That's a fucking surprise, right? I've never worked anywhere else. I graduated from college, and I'll tell you this story later, but I started this company right away. And so what I'm going to talk about works for us, but I have no fucking idea if it works other places. It seems to resonate with people, but I just want to say I don't have a whole lot of perspective. So those are my disclaimers. Before I dive into shit yeah, I want to talk a little bit about fuck no, which is the talk I gave last year. There's no video of it, but South by has a SoundCloud link that has the audio of it. And if you have 45 minutes or whatever to waste, listen to that, and you can get a lot more of kind of that philosophy and what I talked about, but I am going to kind of go a little bit into it. So last year I did this kind of crazy, I think I might have broken down crying. You said you were here last year. I talked about my grandpa and my dad, and it was really emotional. And so I'm not going to go into that family history this year, but the thing I want to talk about with fuck no is that, and I'll use my grandfather as an example. My grandfather's not Paul Rand, but that would be fucking awesome. We call him Uncle Paul in our studio, and there's Uncle Saul as well. But anyway, my grandfather was an interior designer in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He was an expert. He was an interior designer in the 50s and the 60s. He could draw shit. He had all the fabric samples. He knew the furniture makers. He built furniture. So it was really easy for him to tell a client no, because people came to him because they couldn't do what he did. In today's day and age, everything is fucking amateurized, right? I mean, buy a DSLR, you're a pro photographer. get, I don't want to throw any companies under the bus, so I got to watch my tongue here. Use a web platform, CMS tool to build your own website. You're a web developer, et cetera, et cetera. And so if we as creative professionals, I assume that's what a lot of you are, don't position ourselves as experts, we're just machine operators. We're just a wrist that knows how to use the computer. And you guys have all heard that, like, oh, well, you guys know how to use Photoshop, or you guys know how to build the website. And that's not what it's about. It's about proving that you're an expert, and that's what Fuck No was all about. It was about positioning yourself as an authority and having the confidence, the experience, and the aptitude to tell people no, but not just to be a dick, to tell them no, and here's why. And it's uncanny, but when you do that as an expert, relentlessly positioning yourself as such, people love it. We never give our motto at the agency is, I don't know if it's a motto. I don't think we have a motto. But like our mantra, if you will, very Zen, is we don't give you options, we give you solutions. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but we don't give clients what they want, we give them what they need. And so that's kind of the nexus of Fuck No. So that was my sort of abbreviated family slideshow, and I didn't even use a family picture. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple examples, a couple stories from Fuck No. And I'm not going to go through, I told a bunch of stories about projects we do with Google and W3C and Facebook and things like that last year. These are older. You've heard of the one on the right, probably. Some of you have anyway. But the one on the left, Rosa Designs, a flower arranger in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in 2002, I think, 2001. And I always say this, and so the people that were here last year know this joke or this bit, but it's awesome. The woman is Kitty Costello, and her husband is Mario Costello. It's like fucking coolest names ever. I'm Sarah and Michael Nieling as our family. And so I always just blown away. But anyway, she was one of our first identity clients, and she was willing to pay a brand new dipshit designer and his partner money to do a job. And we said, all right, Kitty, we'll let you pay for this, but you're never paying for anything again. And that was, 15 years ago. She started 3 companies since then. We've done everything for them, and we've done it all for free. And it's because it's like the fucking dollar bill on the wall of the pizza place or whatever for us. It was just but the thing is when that job happened, she had all these fucking ideas. She's like, okay, I want the logo to be an oval. I want it to be red. It needs to have a drawing of a rose with it. And at the time, she knows, that's clients, right? And so she sent me, or Jeff, my partner that I founded the company with, sent me this video of Steve Jobs talking about working with Paul Rand on the Next Computers logo. And everyone knows who Paul Rand is? He's the greatest American logo designer, designed a bunch of the most iconic logos that you see still today. And anyway, Paul Rand said to Steve Jobs, you pay me $100,000, I will design the logo, and that's it, we're done. And Steve Jobs is like, well, how many options do we get? And Paul Rand said, well, none. You're hiring me as an expert, I'm going to provide you with a solution, period. And Steve Jobs, in this interview that Jeff had sent to me, said, and it made sense. My interpretation of it is you don't go to the fucking car mechanic and say, what's wrong with my car? And the car mechanic says, oh, your alternator's fucked. You need a new alternator. And you go, fuck that, put air in the tires. Right? You say, yes, Mr. Expert, fix my car. Like the doctor, I could do the same thing. But it's because we respect them as an expert, because we don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so at that point, I saw that video, and Jeff, we're IMing on AIM, or whatever antiquated thing happened back then, and he's like, wouldn't it be awesome if we could do that? And I'm like, why don't we do that? And so that was when we kind of started the Fuck No philosophy. We never called that to a client, but it was, we need to justify every decision we make, and we need to give them solutions, not options. And so that was Rosa. Fox Tax was early on, and it was a similar sort of thing. They didn't have a lot of money. It was a brother-sister team. They're based in Minneapolis as well. And they started an accounting firm focused on artists and musicians. And it sounds like a weird idea, but at South by, musicians, artists, these people, we don't know how to do tax planning and preparation, et cetera, et cetera. And so they focused on that business, and they're all independent contractors. So it was a wonderful thing. They have 6,000 clients now. They started, 10 years ago. And at the time they didn't have any money, we took equity. And we get a great dividend check every year that helps pay a big portion of our payroll. And every single fucking employee we have gets free tax planning and preparation for life. And so that was that's kind of an example of shit yeah and fuck no. And then early on, we also did, I'll touch on this later, we did a lot of work for Burton Snowboards, and we still do. And I'm not going to go into those stories now, but you'll see why I showed that in a few minutes. So closing out sort of fuck no, these were the main points from last year. Pretty hand-lettered typography from Chris Walker. No options, only solutions. Big thing, stop talking about how design looks, start talking about why design works. And then this is a cliche. Okay, so here's something. Steal every fucking thing I say. I have stolen all this from other people, I'm sure. I may have been semi-unconscious when I heard it, I don't know. But you should have a script. You should have your cliches. There's no shame in it. You guys have all seen a stand-up comedian give their half hour. They do the same fucking bit every time because they know it works. And some, like Louis C.K., recycle it every year, whatever. But you should have your go-to things. And one of them that I use all the time is, you worry about the what, together we'll work on the why, let us worry about the how. And that totally, to what I was talking about earlier, when Kitty was like, it should be in an oval, and it should be red, and it should that's all how. That's how you solve the problem. Tell me what. I'm a floral designer. I want to focus on high-end weddings and lobbies of fancy hotels. Why? Because that's where the highest margin is, and those are the kind of suppliers I have, and that's going to be my business. I need to be positioned as a sophisticated, high-end floral designer. How? Well, we'll figure it out, and we did, and it's a great logo. So those are the kind of the catchphrases from Fuck No from last year. So you can listen to last year's talk, get a bunch more stories if you want. One thing I will say, and I said this earlier, and I think maybe this validates that I'm not a fucking hypocrite, saying no to our clients has been purely, I would say, the one reason why we have so much love from our clients. We've never advertised, never. We do good work for good people, and we get referrals, period. And we say, we've been written up in magazines, and they interview clients. Every single time, the first thing the client that gets interviewed said is they tell us no all the time. And that's what they love about us, is because it's not about giving them what they want. It's about giving what they need. And once you unlock the power of understanding design, understanding marketing, understanding branding, people become really evangelical about it. And so all of our clients end up wanting to show their friends the cool new toy they have, which is fucking self-awareness around design and insight into branding. So, so I'm going to do one story. This is the last thing I'm going to do for Fuck No. People tend to enjoy this. So I'm a pretty angry person, generally, so I write a lot of really mean emails when I get pissed off, but I never send them. I have and I think I might have mentioned this last year to some of you guys, I have a drafts folder, so I never send an email until 24 hours has went by. That's my rule. And I'll talk about a lot of rules in a minute here. I have 3,208 emails in that drafts folder because I write them and then I don't send them because they're fucking ludicrous. I mean, but sometimes they get out. And so this is an example of us saying shit yeah to an opportunity, but we broke a bunch of our rules when we said yes, and this is how it turned out. So basically what happened is we presented a logo to this client, a startup, a very well-funded, good, solid company, and we went through our whole message strategy process, we went through our whole core values process, we got sign-off from people, but not the right people, that it's a really high-end women's travel brand. We presented the logo, and the CEO goes, it's nice. It's way too feminine, really way too luxury. And I was like, thank you? And so the problem is we had not made, and I keep alluding to these things I'm going to talk about, so I feel like I should have maybe structured this differently, but one of our rules is always have all decision makers involved in every meeting. And so we had let that guy send his assistant, or, and it was really dumb. We never do that. And it was a weird set of circumstances. And so here's what happened. So the client, they had said that about it. I said, what the fuck, no. And then they were like, well, just show us a bunch of options and we'll let you know what we like. And I was like, well, we don't do that. And so this was his email back to me. He's like, why don't you take another run at the logo? We'll make ourselves directly available to you. However, if we decide the result is still off the mark and we don't see how it can work for our brand, then we remain capped at this many hours. Basically he says, given how things are gone so far, I realize this is a risk for you. But I totally get it. If you don't care to engage in this plan, unfortunately, it's the only redemption I can offer. Whatever you decide, in the interest of full disclosure, we'll be pursuing a brute force plan B involving infinite monkeys. So the people who were here last year, infinite monkey theorem is like, if you put 1 million monkeys in a room, they'll write Hamlet. Like, it'll happen eventually. And so I don't, what, is that like the biggest fuck you to like an agency? Like, well, but we're gonna have a bunch of monkeys work on it too. So you guys are experts. So I replied, I think it would be best if we stop the project at the current point and allow you to move forward on your own. I will send you a check for all money that has been spent to this date. While I absolutely have no problem with continuing work under the framework described in the first paragraph above, the second paragraph absolutely completely undermines any chance such effort would have for success. I sincerely want to contribute positively to your brand, but it's obvious that you should not be formally engaging a professional design resource at this time. And this is where it gets really emotional. I know you guys are like, that's not that bad. I laid in bed last night thinking how desperately I want to work through this project the right way and not only generate a stellar result for you, but also see you and blank, the CEO, or the CTO, transformed into believers into the power and legitimacy of design and branding thought. But until you view design as an aspect of your business that merits a trusted, experienced, and expert resource, you should absolutely not be wasting the amount of money it costs to hire one. For now, you need to hire an illustrator to draw you a bunch of fucking rabbits until you see one you like. Though the result may or may not be a great logo, it will not waste you thousands of dollars and weeks of frustration. As long as you view yourself and blank as the ultimate arbiters of what is effective design and don't trust that the domain authority exists or is worthwhile, investment therein is futile. You're simply paying for frustration on both sides. This is my favorite part. And then I'll stop reading. Yes, thousands of monkeys working on my car will eventually tell me a solution as to why the brakes aren't working. But I prefer, as an amateur, to avoid entrusting my family's safety to the uninformed direction of their repairs. I instead simply take my car to a professional mechanic and trust them to tell me the solution and fix the problem. I find it more reliable, less stressful, and that it leaves far less monkey shit in my car. So that was actually a pretty civil one. The ones that don't go out are much more laced with expletives and like me threatening to do bad things. Shit, yeah, we're moving into the real meat of today's talk. Fuck no at its core was really about being an expert, positioning yourself, having the confidence to tell people, So shit, yeah, is all about facing every challenge and opportunity with sort of an optimism and an excitement and a will to charge forward. And one of the things is like, you can't necessarily be in a position to tell people, fuck off, no, I'm the expert, until you say yes to a few things, until you take some risks, until you, put yourself out there. And so this is the prequel, I guess. Someone said that to me yesterday. Oh, it's like the prequel. And I'm like, I don't watch Star Wars. I literally remember, I do watch Star Wars, let's just be clear. But, so let's take a step back and talk a little bit about this statement. I don't know where I ever heard it, but I really like it. This intern asked me the other day. It was the craziest question. We're finishing up lunch, and she's like, "What's one sentence you think I should guide my life by?" And I hadn't slept in 3 days from work, and I just ate 3 pounds of food, and I was just like, what? And I had been writing this presentation, and so I just threw this out there. And she's like, oh my God, that's deep. And I was like, yeah, it is. But no, the thing is, it's like you say no, you know nothing's going to happen, right? Like, and that's not a bad thing. Like, you just know nothing's going to come from it. It's the end. No is done, zero, done. You say yes, it could go fucking horribly wrong, and it could be the biggest shit show ever, but like something is going to happen next when you say yes. And so I don't know that you should live your life by this credo, like I told this young woman to. But it is something like, it's really core to shit yeah. And so I've always just liked that phrase. So here's a tiny bit of background on our company, and kind of this leads into some more examples of shit yeah. So I was a very shitty pro snowboarder a long time ago. Like, I was good enough to like get free shit, travel, be basically a like subsidized child as an adult. But I would enter contests every once in a while because it would be like, oh, someone will pay me to do that, and I can go there and have fun. And I would get like, 134th out of 178, but I got to go to Whistler or wherever it was. And so, but the interesting thing is that was in the 90s. And so snowboarding was a super young industry. It was, kind of right when action sports in general were tipping, and desktop publishing and the web were relatively young industries. And so I had worked in retail. I have my family history obviously has a lot of design and art, but I had never, my fucking undergrad is in zoology. Like, if you have any like rhino questions or fucking like genetic shit, like. Pfft. And my master's degree is in mechanical engineering. So I told you, I had some credentials for you to listen to me, but like those disclaimers mean something. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. But so at that point, I'm in a team meeting with a bunch of other dirtbag snowboarders, and the owner of the company is like, we're gonna have a website next year. This is gonna be $5,000. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm like sitting there like not fully aware of what's going on. And I literally go, fuck that, I'll do it. I'll do it for $1,500 or $500. I don't remember. I think it was $500. And he's like, you know how to build websites? I'm like, totally. And then I went to the fucking library and checked out a book on how to build a website. And like, it was a horrible website, but I got my money, and they were stoked because they said it was at that point you could learn how to do that. Like right now, if you're really building a site, it's a full-time professional job that you have to be an expert to do. And if you went into a big snowboard company now, that's a legit industry where some asshole that doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about wouldn't be able to bullshit his way into something. So that's kind of the nexus of our company. And so that's why I had the Burton logo up there, is because it wasn't the Burton website. They were more legitimate than me at that point, by far. But it was right when we started our company, and I kind of backed out of the snowboarding industry as a whatever pseudo-athlete, but was still very involved as a friend and just knew a lot of people. And one of my good friends got a big promotion at Burton, and he was in charge of creating a showroom for selling sales reps in Chicago. And he really wanted to impress his boss, but he had zero fucking budget. I mean, it was like $400, and they're like, we're gonna build out this 2,800 square foot showroom. I'm like, all right. Like, it wasn't $400 for materials and everything, but like our time. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Like, because it was an opportunity people would die at that point for that brand in their portfolio. And I told someone the story the other night. When that that showroom was getting built out, I remember turning to like the construction worker that was welding shit next to me at 3 a.m. and being like, if 14-year-old fucking Michael Nieling saw what 26-year-old Michael Nieling is doing right now, he would shit his pants. This is so awesome. And so it was an opportunity to expand our portfolio. And so we said shit yeah to these 3 things. Like I told you about Rosa, lifelong friendship, lots of work, Fox Tax, ownership, equity, business advice. Burton has been a lifetime of projects and fun, and those were all things that we said shit yeah to that maybe, we could have easily said no to. So at this point, you guys are all probably thinking like, shit yeah is all about just doing fucking free work and spec work. Like, this sounds like a horrible thing. I will go out of business in 2 months. And that's not really what it's all about. It is at the beginning. Like I said, you kind of have to say yes to things in certain contexts that aren't going to be necessarily worth your while financially. But there's a big difference between clients that don't have the money and clients that don't want to spend the money, right? And like, if you're working with people that don't have the money and you make sure to ask for something, like we always say to clients, this is another cliche that I love. And people like eat it up. You go, we can do whatever you want for free as long as we have forever to do it. Right? Like as an agency, like we'll discount shit to zero if we have 8 years to get it done. Like, and so we always ask for things. So like we've gotten equity in the past. We've gotten referrals to other clients or other opportunities within businesses. We've gotten testimonials. So when we say shit yeah to something, we always have a clearly defined ask. So we're not just saying, okay, we'll do it for free, or okay, we'll give you this big discount. We're saying, yes, but here's the framework within which we're doing it. I was going to talk a little bit, so here's the thing. We don't do spec work, never. I'm not ignoring you guys, I'm sorry. There's 3 more beers up here. Oh, the sound guy. So she didn't even notice that her life was almost like in danger. I let go of that, and I was like, what the fuck have I done? You all should have helmets on in the front row. So we don't respond to RFPs. We don't fucking compete for work, like fuck spec work. And we're little enough we can do that. And I know some of you are probably like, that guy's an idiot. I have friends here that work at big agencies, and they constantly are just like, yeah, we couldn't do that where we work. And I understand that. Again, I have zero perspective. But like, we have rules, and that's the thing. We have a very strict set of rules, like I mentioned in that story about the monkey shit, and we follow them, always, except for a few times. And so, like, those rules are, we don't work with committees. We'll work with, like, partners, but we don't work with, like, a committee of 10 people or 5 people. I mean, we'll do 2 or 3 at the most if it's, founders. We always work with the decision makers. It's a really short list. No committees, always with decision makers, and no fucking architects, because they're assholes. That's it. We say yes to everything else. So they're not all assholes. I have some friends who are very nice people who are architects, but I think underneath they might be jerks. We also, like, we don't do contracts. Like, we've done this for 15 years, and we've had 4 contracts. The 3 times that we've been fucked on money, we've had contracts. So 75% of the fucking contracts we've had have been worthless. And I'm not making any like diatribe against contracts, but that's like, we jump into shit. Like, we want to get going on work. We don't want 2 weeks of lag time while we figure out the details. We document everything very thoroughly in project plans. We send emails back and forth. Everything is written down, but we're not going through a bunch of legalese. So that's just something we don't, so these are sub-rules, I guess. One of my favorite is like, okay, here's the thing. Like, we're going to make a ton of money. So give us a discount now. And then, like, later, we'll pay your full rate. And here's another one that you can use, and I love this. I was just like, okay, how about this? We'll charge you full rate now, and we do all of that work, we'll give you a discount then. That seems more reasonable, right? Like, that's how it should fucking work. And people are always like, or they'll, like, they'll go out to their shitty whatever car that like they feel is awesome in the parking lot, and they'll be like, stick with me. You're going to be driving one of these. And I'm like, that's my 2001 Volkswagen van right there. I'm pretty stoked on that. And then the last thing is we don't say shit yeah, we don't say yes when clients demand shifts to our process. When they say, oh, we need 3 options. Or when they say, we need you to fly all over the fucking country and do a song and dance for us. Like, we just don't. And we're lucky. We turn away a lot of work. We like I said, we do good work for good people, and we get a lot of referrals. And every time I say these things out loud, I'm like, fuck, it's all going to fall apart tomorrow. But it's held together for a while. So that's our rules for shit yeah. I'm sure you guys can form your own. And then the last thing, and this relates kind of to South by, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Like, I'm right-handed, I guess. I keep going over there. The rules and then goals. And I mentioned this earlier, like whether it's walking up to someone on the street to network, or whether it's a blind date, or whether it's a big project, like coming to terms with what means success, right? Like, so those projects I showed earlier, like Burton, I had a very clear goal. I was like, I'm not going to be pissed at making no money at this because I know it's going to beget more work and it's going to be a great piece in our portfolio. If I satisfy those two criteria, I'm stoked on that decision. I do the same thing, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about South by. Like, there's a lot of dicks, a lot of just assholes at conferences like this. And like I said, I'm pretty self-aware. Like I can come across harshly sometimes. So there's a lot of like people who just like are looking for a business connection, and that's it. And that's fucking bullshit. Like I really like, so to the goal point, like I walk up to, and all my staff is always like blown away because, and I'm sure you guys have friends or some of you are like this. I have no problem walking up to every single person in this room and starting a conversation. I wear, here's the secret, wear fucking cool shoes and be from Hawaii. It's impossible to not have an interesting conversation. Impossible. If you can't do the Hawaii thing, just wear cool shoes. And people like walk up to you and like, oh, those are sweet shoes. I'm the Imelda Marcos of like Honolulu. Like, my wife has like 2 pairs of flip-flops. I have like 7 closets of shoes. I'm a dork. But like, so, but the thing is like, I walk up to someone and I'm very comfortable with that conversation only lasting 45 seconds. And it's not that I'm gonna be a jerk to them, but I wanna either see if I can make a personal connection with them and they'll be a friend or someone I can do fun shit with, or a professional connection that they could potentially be an employee or a client or a collaborator someday. And that's my goal. I bring a ton of people down here from our company every year, and for them, the goal is to fucking get drunk and have fun. Like that's it. For me, it's to meet people and to like foster relationships. And so I'm very comfortable with like getting to a point in a relationship and being like, oh, you work for a giant oil company. Like, we're not gonna do that. You know, or whatever the case may be. And so things at South by, you know, I really, and this is, I mean, I know this is saint-like, and I'm a hero, really encourage you to go to a lot of parties. Like, and I'm gonna talk about like some more rules later. Don't be a fucking baby. You can sleep next week. Like, like go to parties, talk to people. You can hear my voice. This is one fucking night. Like, I'm here till next Monday, like 10 days from now. I'm gonna be a disaster. Like, so South by was kind enough to let me speak and then also let me do it early. So I had like double fisting tea with lemon and honey this morning. Like meeting up with old friends, making new connections, etc. And there are South by programming people in here, so they should earmuffs this, but fucking skip sessions every once in a while. Like, I mean, not mine, but other ones. But I mean, there's so much value in the programming they put together. Like, it's fucking insane, the amount of cool shit that is being talked about at South by. But there's also so many cool people, and that's a huge part of the value that this whole fucking thing delivers, is that you're gonna run into people. I mean, and that's the next story I wanna tell, is like, a few years ago, this was like 6 years ago maybe, I've been coming for a while, I decided at the last second to come, like 2 days before. And it was like, I don't really feel like going, and then some friends convinced me, you should go. You should come again. And so I bought a ticket, like I had a fucking flying to San Antonio. It was like a ridiculous amount of money. I bought the badge at the full price as opposed to way early. And I stayed in like the fucking, you know, daylight sunshine inn like 9 miles outside of town. And so I had to like, and it was a fucking horrible hotel. And so I was riding those shuttles, you know, the R&R or whatever, the shuttle, you pay $100 and they, whatever, you can tell we have places closer now. But like, and the second morning, I get on the bus and I sit down next to a dude, we're both not feeling the best, and like had to get in for a session or whatever, and I start talking to him. And turns out that he ran digital for Comedy Central Records for years. He and I had actually knew mutual people. Ended up hanging out with him all day, skipping a bunch of sessions, taking a bunch of very well-known stand-up comedians out for lunch at Stubbs, finding out that I am not funny at all compared to those people. And then that, actually later in that day, that guy, Aaron, introduced me to another individual named Brian. Brian was an early employee at Google. We knew mutual people. He had started a new startup. He introduced me to his new CEO, who was from Minneapolis, which is where I used to live, and we knew mutual people. And he knew Fox Tax. They used to do his taxes. So then Casey had us come in and work on this privacy icons project that Mozilla, their new startup, and Harvard were working on together. Then we met this guy, Ben, who's a skateboarder. Here's the thread here. Skateboarders are the best fucking people in the world. If you meet Nick, who's shooting back there, is one of our art directors. This is a total sidebar. I hope I can get back to where I was, but this is a story worth telling. We needed a new art director / web developer in our Milwaukee studio. And I literally typed in, like, this is the fucking sophistication of our HR department. I typed in web design skateboarder Milwaukee. And Nick was the first, like, his personal website was the first thing that popped up. And I creeped the fuck out of him by just calling him cold. Like, hey dude, you want to come skate the ramp in our office? And his boss at the time, he told him, he's like, this guy, and he's like, you're going to get killed. You should not go there. So anyway, Ben works for Mozilla. And he is a skateboarder, and he's an awesome dude. And like he had us work with him on Popcorn, which is Popcorn.js, which is a JavaScript framework for video, which some of you guys maybe use. And then we helped Mozilla build Popcorn Maker, which is their editor. And then beyond that, it gets crazy. Like, this is all from fucking me not just being like, I'm going to go to sleep now on this bus because I feel like shit. And then, so it gets better. So then we did a conference at NYU together about drones and aerial robotics, and like got featured on the front of the tech section in the New York Times. And then Ben introduced us to people at Frontline, and we did projects with PBS and NewsHour. And then that begat some work that we just did this year for ProPublica and Frontline around the terrorist attacks in Mumbai that is up for a fucking Pulitzer. I don't deserve to be anywhere near a fucking Pulitzer. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, to be honest. But like, that's the difference of being an introverted little, like, oh, I'm tired, I feel like shit, I drank too much last night, to like, hey dude, what do you do? And it's that easy. And that's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work, tens of people worth, 10 or more people, salaries, careers over that time, and so many fun things. I've went on, vacations with some of these people, like we go out to dinner, we skateboard together. The worst thing that happens is they go, fuck off, I'm tired, and you move to the next person. So just talk to people. So that is just pictures of my children, and I don't remember why we put that in there. But they're fucking adorable, aren't they? Hawken is my son, and he literally, school picture day, came out of his bedroom, and he had like board shorts, we live in Hawaii, so like board shorts, a t-shirt, and then my brother, Uncle Nicky, got married last summer. He's like, I'm wearing my wedding shoes and jacket, is that cool? And I'm like, that is more than cool. And so we have like, the dude at like the Life Touch guy, like the laser background dude that shot these pictures, must have just freaked out because he was like, I've got a live one. So, Izzy is an adorable, precious, beautiful little girl, and we get one, picture of Izzy in her school pictures. There were like 14 pictures in the folder for Hawken because like he's like this, and then he's on his knee, and then he's like got a coat over the shoulder, like, and I'm like, I know he's creative, but he didn't come up with that shit. Like, he has never done this before. So, so now I wanted to I remember why, because when Izzy was a baby, so when Izzy was tiny, she's 7.5 now, so this is, 7.5 years ago, I was in the middle of the night, like, rocking her, because babies are fucking terrorists, and they won't let you sleep. And I'm thinking, like, I help rich people get richer. Like, have you guys ever seen the movie Crazy People? I'm not old enough to like be contemporary with this movie, but it's Dudley Moore, and he's a like ad agency exec, and he goes crazy because he realizes that he just like helps people like get like he just bastardizes himself to like build taglines and ads for other companies, and so then he goes crazy, and goes into an insane asylum, which tells you when this movie came out, And they all do ads. Like the people in the insane asylum write the ads. And the only one I can remember is so inappropriate. So if I use the term hand job, is that okay? It's basically like the one ad I can remember is a Jaguar, and it's like a lady standing next to a Jaguar, and it's like, Jaguar for men who want hand jobs from ladies like this. So anyway, I had one of those moments where I was like, fuck, and we weren't doing work for like egregious clients. I mean, it was just like, but we weren't making a difference. And I was like, I want like this little angel, this princess to be like proud of what her daddy does. And I'm really close with my father, and he was a successful guy, and he's my hero. And so I have a lot to live up to, and I will never live up to that. I guarantee it. I mean, already this is, like I'm having people scream swear words and throwing beer at them. But like, I was like, we need to do cause-based work. Like we should try to, like we're good at this shit. We should try to make a difference. And so what we did was, we, meaning me, in the dark at night, making decisions that affect dozens of lives, said, we're gonna fucking focus on open source and we're gonna focus on sustainability. Done. And we still do work in a lot of different areas, but that became our story to tell. And if you look at our work, if you talk to any of our employees, those are the things we're most excited about. We do a ton of work in green tech. We do a ton of work in solar and EVs and wind. We do a ton of work with Google and Facebook and Mozilla and the W3C on open source projects. That's where our passion lies. And so at that same time, I kind of was like, this might have been 3 nights later. I was like, great, now we've got to focus there. But Jeff and I, the guy that I started the company with, were like, and he's supposed to be here, but he's fucking pansy, and he got sick, and he's super fun, and you guys would like him. And he has a huge beard, so he fits in. So he's stuck in Wisconsin. But we were talking, and we're like, and this is nothing new, we were like, if we're so fucking good at all this shit, like branding, marketing, advertising, design, why are we doing it for other people? Like, why aren't we doing it for ourselves? And it was like, well, because we don't have the money. Like, we need clients, we need to pay the bills. And they have money and we don't. And so we'll do the work for them. Well, so then I, as the owner of the business, said, fuck that. I want to do that. And so kind of made a strategy to set money aside over a number of years. And with the goal of spinning off companies and funding them ourselves. And so moving to more of a split time between clients and our own work. And this isn't unique. Other agencies have done this. I'm not claiming ownership to it. Like I said, I steal everything. But what we did is we did it. Like, so in the last 3 years, we've spun out 3 companies. Autowatts is a company that combines the purchase of solar power with the sale of an electric vehicle. We're in a number of dealerships in California on a first pilot project, and it's super exciting. It's literally like you buy an EV, you go in the finance and insurance office where they sell you extended warranties, et cetera, and they pull up a web app, and it says, you know, it gets your driving habits. We're reading fucking roof data. It's crazy sophisticated. We're utility data, local tax incentives. And the F&I guy, the sales guy, can literally just say to the customer, super smart idea buying an electric vehicle. You're going to save $3,000 a year over gasoline. How are you going to fuel it? I'm going to plug it into the fucking wall. And you're like, well, you could do that, or we could power it with solar and save you another $30 a month. You're going to spend the money anyway. Why not invest, and why not save a little bit more money and do it driving on sunshine? So I'm not pitching my projects here, but like I want to give you guys some background. Lenona Shoe Company, all American made, American sourced, handmade boots and shoes. As I said, I'm a shoe guy, and so we started that about 1.5 years ago. Got featured at New York Liberty Fair a few weeks or a couple months ago now. It's very early, but if you go to the website, there's cool shoes there. And then I'm a vegetarian, but we have a cattle ranch on Kauai, and it's grass-fed beef, and that's just rolling out. So here's the thing. I don't think I have a slide for this, but Chris did put a slide in here for this. So I run a lot, but I am not a fucking runner. If any of you intimate as much, I will be upset because I have too much of an ego to be like short shorts, you know, whatever. And so, but I'm fast. Like when I tell people what my times are for a marathon or a half marathon, they're generally like, whoa, really? Because you look like a dirtbag. And I'm like, no. But here's the thing. I'm going to do a visual aid here. Running is falling fucking forward, right? Like, I do it faster than other people. It's no fucking big deal. And so here's the other corollary to that, and I'll come back to that. I go to a lot of therapy because of the yelling. And so I have a huge imposter complex. Like, I look at all of you and I'm like, what the fuck? How could these people possibly be sitting here? And only 3 people have left, and I will hunt them down. So I have this big complex, and like, I've realized through the work I'm doing on myself that no one knows what the fuck they're doing. Like, I go through this, I'm like, and we made this decision, and we did this, and we launched these 3 companies, and they're actually working, and it's like, holy fucking shit. Like, I didn't know that was gonna work. And like, there are no grown-ups. There are no grown-ups. No one knows what they're doing. Obama doesn't know what he's doing. Steve Jobs didn't know it. They're just falling forward a little bit faster than the rest of us. And like, that's kind of what shit yeah is all about, is allowing yourself the sort of optimistic latitude to say yes to shit and seeing where it goes. But with the safety net of ejecting at any point. So I was gonna talk about a lot more shit, but I think I only have like, I have 15 minutes. Oh, so I can keep going. I'm gonna go a little bit further, and then I wanna open up to questions. And we do have like a bunch of koozies up here. We have one more live round. Oh, there's more. That's Milwaukee, so we have a studio in Milwaukee, and so none of this bullshit Texas beer. I don't drink beer, so you guys can like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So in the end, I've talked about the balance between fuck no and shit yeah. You kind of have to say yes to get the experience and the sort of discipline to say, no. I kind of look at it as like, you say yes to build relationships, opportunity, and enthusiasm. You say no to build authority and trust. And you can add the shit and the fuck if you want. And then both combined over time build authenticity and they build respect. And like, that's what we found. Like I said, people really, it resonates with people. And yes, I swear nearly as much in client conversations, so they just like that, I guess. So, all right, so here's the summary. I'll go through this quickly. These are just kind of bullet points. All right, there's 3 things: hustle, charm, and give. Like, these are my 3 things, and then I have one more story. I'm gonna give you guys a choice which one I'm gonna tell. So don't be a big baby, like I said. Fucking sleep later. Work hard when you're young. I'm 38. I know I look great for 50, but you have so much more fucking energy when you're young, and you don't have kids, and you don't have a family, and you don't have the responsibilities. Like, I wish we had started these 3 companies when I was 28 instead of 38. And so like, if you have opportunities, jump on them when you're young and get after it. Hustle. Exercise. Fucking just 30 minutes a day, like, just fucking do something. I do a little thing every morning, and these guys all make fun of me because they're like, oh, he's in there like huffing and puffing, and like sit-ups, push-ups, whatever. Just do some exercise, eat well. And this is a caveat. So Todd, who just left, who also works with us, he makes fun of me all the time because I don't eat meat, and I eat really healthy, but I eat shit tons of candy and ice cream. So I'm a hypocrite, but like, try to eat well. And then these are more about like, so as far as the hustle thing also, like I said, don't fucking confine to RFP rules, get in front of decision makers, make people believe in you. That's the hustle side of thing. Charm, swear a lot. Like, people, it's disarming to people. It's so fucking weird. I guarantee a bunch of you will come up here afterward and we'll talk or we'll go hang out. And like, I've had like 75-year-old grandmas come up to me after a talk, and they just like embarrass me with the filth that comes out of their mouth. Because like, I've liberated them to like, I'm allowing them to talk like that. And like I said, I have Izzy and Hawken. Like, I don't swear all the time when I'm around them, but it is in conversation. And there's like theories about this. Like, it's science. Swear a lot. Like I said, have a process, have a framework, have rules, have your go-to cliches, have the words you use that are really powerful. Like, we have boilerplate, like I talked about all those shitty emails, but like, I have like 25 boilerplate emails that I send to clients at different points of the negotiation process, that I send to clients at the different points of like, project process. And like, all of our design reviews, like our team has heard me do them 1,000 times. I say the same stuff over and over again, and you hear it all the time, and so you feel dumb, But like, it's the first time they're hearing it, and so don't be afraid to use what works over and over again. No shit. Just like, be a good conversationalist. Like, that's part of charm. Like, I grew up in a very white-collar family, but my dad knew how to run machine tools, and I fixed cars with him. Like, I was an athlete, but I was also like a dipshit, like stoner kid. Like, you know, so like, I have a lot of perspectives. Maybe I'm lucky in that regard, but I really think everyone should be able to have a conversation with everyone else. And so, knowing a lot about a lot of different things, whether it's reading about, you know, reading the paper online, obviously, or whatever it is, just be knowledgeable and then give. I kept saying I'm a dick. I'm actually the nicest fucking person you'll meet. I am very generous. I love everyone that I work with. And like, I have this like affliction with sending thank you notes. Like, I send handwritten thank you notes to people for like the dumbest shit. And like and I will go to every one of their offices, and you get good ones, get cool ones, like, you know, hand lettered ones, write them, you know, whatever. It will be on their desk in their office 6 months later. Like, and it's such a nice thing to do. And I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because, and so I send thank you emails, thank you notes, thank you texts. I say thank you to people when they should be saying thank you to me because, again, like, it positions you as a charming person that people want to be around. And hopefully you're not doing it inauthentically. All right, so last thing. And I have 5 minutes left, and then we'll get a few questions. You can hear about one of two stories. How are we going to do this? I should have thought of this. One is about me negotiating a lifetime of burritos, an example of shit yeah. The other is how I proposed to my wife.
How you proposed to your wife?
Oh, wow. That one, it's emotional. I might tear up. It's hilarious. All the dudes want burritos. All the girls want wine. I'll do them. How much time do I have? 10? Oh, I got time. I'll do them both because the burrito one's super quick. So I'll do burrito first, and then I'll do wife because I maintain my composure for wife story. So there, I can't incriminate the brand, but if you are from Hawaii or you've been to Hawaii, this horribly offensive logo is actually their logo. And it's a good place. We go there all the time. But the story's kind of funny. So we had a friend, actually a guy that worked for Google that lived in Hawaii that was a good friend of mine, and we worked with a bunch. He referred us to the manager of this restaurant, and they needed a new website. And it was like no money. I mean, it wasn't no money, but it wasn't a big project. And they needed a new website, and so we went through the process, and we didn't know that there's a husband and wife that owned it, and then this manager guy. And we went through the whole process with the wife and the manager, having no idea that the husband was at all involved in the business. And at the last, we launched the site, and I get an angry phone call from someone who doesn't speak very good English, and it's, no, Jeff did. So that was the story. So the husband apparently was super involved and had been parallel developing a different website with this other resource. And I get this phone call from my partner, and he's nearly in tears. He's this dude who I don't even know where he's from. He called me, he's screaming at me, and I don't know, and I love my people. I threatened to punch one of them in my talk last year, and you've never heard the air come out of the room faster, but it was to be funny, but I would do anything. These are my family. And Jeff is especially close. And I was like, give me the number off your fucking phone. And he gave it to me, and I called the guy, and his assistant answered. And I just blew her ear off, so loud that eventually he was forced to take the phone from her and talk to me. So long story short, I was just like, fuck you, we're done. I called the owner, the husband, and I was like, fuck you, this is ridiculous, we're done. And then I called the manager, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. This sucks. That guy doesn't know what he's doing, this other developer. Your site's gonna be horrible, but I can't deal with this. I don't have time to deal with this. And he's like, all right, I understand. I'm sorry that it went this way, blah, blah, blah. I get a call 20 minutes later. He's like, dude, I put $2,500 in gift certificates in the cash register. You should come get them. Lifetime of fucking burritos. So that was an example of shit, yeah, that went really wrong because the project blew up, but burritos are awesome. So And then how I married my wife, or how I proposed. So we met when we were 18, really young, and we dated for 11 years. When I proposed, finally, my best friend called me and he goes, dude, are you sure? You don't want to rush into this shit. And so, but anyway, the story was, we were up at our lake house, and my parents had a dog, and the dog had seizures. Bucky, he was awesome. And my dad was sleeping on the dock. Our old dog used to fish. He'd run around chasing fish in the shallow water, and he'd make a bunch of splashes. And so there was all this splashing, and my dad was sleeping, and I was on the phone for work. And all of a sudden, I hear this blood-curdling scream. And I look out, my dad's jumping in the water, and Bucky is floating, lifeless, in the water. And it turns out that he had been sleeping next to my dad on the dock, like 5 feet away, and had had a seizure and fallen off. And my dad heard the splashing, but he thought it was Mookie, our dog. And I literally break the screen door off the hinges coming out. My wife comes out of fucking nowhere, and at this point she's my girlfriend. And she was a lifeguard for years. And she just and my dad's bawling. I mean, this dog was with him everywhere. And Sarah pushes my dad out of the way, yanks an 80-pound dog out of the water onto the dock, starts giving it mouth to mouth, and then just screaming, not screaming, very authoritatively, calmly, give the dog chest compressions. 1, 2, 3, go, and telling me what to do. She's covered in blood, and Bucky died. I mean, I wish I could say we saved him, but it was a horrible day. And I didn't get it. And all the women in here said marriage, all the dudes said burritos. I would have fallen in the burrito camp probably. I mean, I'm a guy. But marriage never resonated with me until it was I want to have kids. And I didn't want to have kids until we were in a position to afford it and blah, blah, blah. Well, so we're washing dishes that night. And we all been crying all day, just horrible fucking day. Buried him in the backyard, sucked. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, if this woman is willing to do that shit that quickly, that unconsciously for my family's dog, what the fuck am I waiting for? No one's ever gonna be this committed to me and to my family as she is. And so I'm washing dishes, and this is how romantic this is. I turned to her, I go, so do you want to get married? And then in the back of the kitchen, it's totally sitcoms, back of the kitchen, there's psh, my mom drops a plate, and Sarah turns to me, and Sarah, a lot of people here know her, is very frank. She goes, are you fucking kidding me? This is how you're gonna do it? And then I explained to her what I just said while crying, and she was absolutely, yes. And so, we've been together 20 years, and there's always bumps in the road, but it's the best thing I've ever said shit yeah to. So I wanted to close with that. So. If you guys have questions, or you want beer, come up to anyone who asks a question automatically gets a beer and a koozie.